The Antikythera mechanism is a device that was discovered inside the remains of a wooden box that was recovered from the shipwreck. The wooden box is roughly the size of a shoebox to give you an idea of the size of the mechanism itself. It was described in a paper as being discovered in a form that was essentially one giant lump and was subsequently divided into three main fragments, which have since been separated into 82 separate fragments through conservation efforts. Now, four of these fragments contain gears, and you can find inscriptions on a lot of the other 78 fragments. To give you an idea of the scale of this thing, the largest gear is 5.1 inches in diameter, and it originally had 223 teeth. All right, now it's truth time for a second. I'm going to be honest with you guys. When I was doing the research for this episode, I was imagining the 5.1 inches in diameter as circumference because I was swapping circumference and diameter in my head. That's probably because I haven't been to a fourth grade math class recently. The difference between circumference and diameter hasn't really come up a whole lot in my adult life. It's not like I ever went to a job interview and they were like, "All right, Nick, we're going to go ahead and start with a few basic questions. Can you tell us about a time where you were in a situation where you had to work with someone who didn't know the difference between circumference and diameter? How did you handle that? What did you tell them?" Like it's just not coming it's just not coming up in my daily life. Like I'm being honest with you. Like I know. Like look, I coach high school basketball. Some of the kids I coach are gonna hear this. I get it. Like I'll probably get in trouble for this at some point, but like you're not using that in your daily life. I'm sorry. There are certain professions where you will, and they're going to make it very abundantly clear to you that you need to know the difference between some of these things. But I'll be honest with you, I'm not using circumference and diameter all the time. So, every now and then you get them confused. I don't think that's crazy. And because I know that's the case, I know there's also some of you listening to this right now who are thinking to yourself, "Fuck, am I as dumb as Nick?" And because of that, let's go ahead and get on the same page real quick. When I say 5.1 inches in diameter, I mean the gear itself is 5.1 inches across the face of it. So the gear, it's not, as I learned, 5.1 inches around. That is circumference, right? Circumference is the girth, if you get what I'm saying. So across the face of it, 5.1 inches is what we're talking about. So I say all this to say it's not necessarily a large piece of machinery. It's pretty small, to be honest. And the fact that that small of a gear has 223 teeth speaks to how precise the device is. Now, before we move on to the next part, I want to mention that if you're driving or operating heavy machinery right now, do not do what I'm about to say. But if you aren't going to put yourself in danger, I highly recommend that you take a second to just go to Google and type in Antikythera mechanism, hit images, and then look at both the actual mechanism itself, the photos of the artifact itself, and then also the recreations. I think the recreations of it are really interesting. There's a ton of scientific work that's gone into these recreations, and I'm not going to go into that in this episode, but it's fascinating. And either way, I do think it's important for you to go look up the images there. So obviously, I'm going to go ahead and I'll throw them on the thumbnail of this video and stuff like that. So if you're watching the video, you'll see it. But my point being, if you're not, if you're just listening to this in your car or something like that, wait till you park. If you're listening to it just while you're working or you're at your office or something, just pop on over to Google real quick because I do think it's good to have a picture of this thing in your mind as we go forward. But anyway, if you're driving right now, I mean, some of you horny savages are out here swiping Tinder anyway. So like, you're probably gonna risk it. But I'm saying to you, legally speaking, please do not put yourself in harm's way. To see a picture of this thing, when you get to your destination, look it up. But for those of you who are not able to look it up right now, what I will do is I will go ahead and give you a one sentence description of one recreation that I saw from 2007. So I want you to imagine a wooden shoebox, and it's covered in inscriptions, but it's standing up vertically. And basically, it's full of a series of interconnecting gears on the inside. And then Basically, there's what looks like some handles protruding out of it on the outside.